Hey, Elise.
Hey, Abby.
How's it going?
Good. I was like, it looks like we'll have a decent attendance. I talked to Chris and Arjun's joining, and we got Kaylin and Ali. I'm not, the only person I'm unsure of is Treelock, but we'll have everyone else.
Awesome.
Hey, Ali.
Talking to myself. Hey guys.
Yeah.
Hey.
All right.
Chris, how are you?
Oh, it's been a good day.
All right. I think we have everyone except for Treelock. So Chris, you said we
I
probably may
doubt he'll
not.
make it. I
Yeah.
would say, yeah, we can get started without him.
Okay. So I'm sure you guys kept seeing these invites from Wendell, and probably confused on who Wendell is. A project manager on the Elevate side that I help book meetings with. So anyways, let's get started. So thank you guys for joining. So I know the purpose of this call is to, improve visibility across the task management projects and to align on timelines, roles, and responsibilities. I joined the TM project a few months ago, and I recently hired a solution owner, David. So for the Sandpiper app and task management in general, and he's been more involved additionally around, GMP and DCL as well. And other than Abby and Arjun, I'm really not sure outside those two what's the visibility like to the rest of the group on items that we have been working on, and also vice versa. I personally don't have a lot of visibility. What are the other goings on around Team Connect or AvTag, ABM Clean, and what's coming up the pipeline? So I think it'll be good to kind of have a conversation here on how we could have some sort of general cadence to kind of keep us all looped in, a space where we can provide, current project status, any major milestones achieved or upcoming, or teams currently, or how our team is currently communicating across projects, and if there's any dependencies between the projects that may affect timelines. And if there aren't any at the moment, there will be, based off what we would like the future state to be, and how to start moving forward with our planning for that, so our efforts are not siloed from each other. So just kind of welcome each other's thoughts on how to keep each other in the loop.
Yeah, I would agree. Definitely interested in others' input here. I mean, it does feel like there's, some need for some kind of governance or overarching, I don't know, like you said, visibility to, all these different moving parts. And so everyone's kind of connected in. So, and I don't know if there's someone kind of overall the whole thing that's kind of owning that and the kind of the facing with business and all that. So yeah, I would agree at minimum, some kind of, I don't know if it's like recurring, coming together and making sure we're all aligned, but open to others' views on this. Cause I think, yeah, there's still some confusion, like, okay, with Team Connect and the roadmap and kind of where we're going, like, what does that mean for GMP? What does it mean for Amazon? What does it mean for DCL and what work we're doing? So yeah, it does feel like there's a little bit of a gap there. So I don't know, Kayla, if you have a view on this at all from from where you sit with it, or Arjun. I mean, I don't, seems like there's a bit of a gap here we can kind of get better aligned on.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Kayla.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I always talk first, so you go first this time.
I was just going to say that as far as I know, there's nothing that we're doing with Team Connect, at least, that's going to replace anything for GMP, right? Because the capabilities are not they're not transferable, right? So there's nothing that Team Connect will do that GMP that will affect GMP. For digital cleaning log, that's a slightly different story, right? That would be dependent at the scale. This is where I was probably need you to chime in if I'm misspeaking on this. But for digital cleaning log, there's potential for Team Connect to transition digital cleaning log to Team Connect, right? Because there will be more parity between those two task management systems. For AvTech or ABM Clean, I don't think there's any thought about that. And then for Amazon, that's a much larger discussion about how we transition potentially from, if we wanted to, from TMA into Team Connect, but that's a much larger discussion because of the devices, the training, and the additional capabilities that Team Connect brings that they don't have at Amazon or Walmart currently.
Yeah. So my opinion is that I do think a governance approach of some form or fashion would be helpful, right? Because task management is a massive topic for this company, and there's a lot of moving parts with it. And so I think staying aligned would be good, especially because candidly, digital cleaning log, I'd say almost like I guess it does have an owner. I describe Kyle Schlueter as the main day-to-day owner, and then myself as the non-day-to-day owner. But there's these things that get updated, and we need to make sure that we're all aligned on them and aligned on the long-term eventual consolidation plan. So I think some sort of governance structure would be great. I think also roles and responsibilities with that would be helpful. Like Elise, one of my questions was with David. I just wasn't sure what he's doing, what we should be leveraging him for. And so I think clear roles and responsibilities would be great as well, purely so we just know who to tap for what. And then in terms of the strategy, I agree with what Arjun said around, for now, digital cleaning logs should be transitioned. The question is the upcharge, because as everyone knows, Team Connect is more expensive than digital cleaning log. And that's the same thing for TMA. In my opinion, we should, at some point, mid this fiscal year, set a target date for sunsetting Sandpiper and start moving things over in terms of the main usages, which is TMA and digital cleaning log. I think where we landed as a Team Connect team was we weren't ready to start setting dates or plans for TMA because we need to A, prove out the initial solution, B, we'd need to be able to do some enhancements, and C, it's just very complicated with that team, and we'd have to figure out the charges, and they most likely would not want to assume that those charges in FY25, so we'd have to do that as part of the FY26 transition. But I do think there's a point, let's say in March of this year, where we really need to be able to have a target date on the calendar, and we know when we're planning to sunset Sandpiper and convert the rest of the sites over. GMP and ABM Clean agree with what was said. I don't think there's any short-term plan. I think in the medium term, when we think about years in terms of medium term, there's a plan to bring that into the hub. So we have one unified way that things, I guess, can flow through in terms of a hub for task management, but that the individual nature of ABM Clean and GMP would still persist. So that's my view.
Question for DCL and Amazon, is there, for transitioning, is there any engagement with the business, looking at design requirements? Is that all kind of sorted, or there would be some engagement back to make sure? So I would think it's it's going to be sort of new, but I'm thinking like Arjun, like we have all the requirements for what that would be, or would there be some lift with the business to make sure we're kind of at some point we put that date out there. I would imagine maybe DCL is probably closer. I'm not sure about Amazon, but I don't know how much.
For Amazon, we have an original list of requirements when we first started that project that included a lot of the stuff that we're doing with Team Connect, right? Which has the training piece, the communication piece, the task management piece, right? It doesn't have stuff like timesheets and stuff. That's like probably more of a nice to have for those guys, and they probably wouldn't mind having it there. But a lot of the functions that we have for Team Connect speak to the original set of requirements that we had for Amazon. but we haven't had any recent discussions with the Amazon team. At least I haven't had any recent discussions with the Amazon business side, the business team, on revisiting those requirements at this, at this point. But we do have like a set of requirements that they're probably a little bit outdated at this point. So it probably needs a further discussion with them, or just a refresher with them. But it's not just like the software itself, right? It's also getting all new devices and stuff like that for
Right.
And what do you do with those existing 3500 A14 devices that we've already purchased? Maybe they're at the end of their life cycle at this point, right? Most likely they are. But then what do we do with them?
Got it.
And then there's the whole training piece, right? Because it's not just lifting and shifting the task management piece, right? While they have a dedicated team that does do deployments and procurement and stuff like that, that handles that kind of stuff, it's still kind of a big lift to do it for the Amazon portfolio. So that's more like a couple of months worth of work, to even to do that activity or those activities. So logistically, like in the short term, that's why I was saying earlier for Amazon and Walmart, like it's not like a short-term sort of thing that you can just transition them over, right? It's a much larger discussion and coordination effort with that team.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, Arjun, to your point, I think it needs to be proven, right, before it can be scaled. Because it's a can of worms, especially with Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what Kayla said earlier, I think the strategy is to offload Sandpiper next year. It's just the time when. But whatever the window is, I think we need to start looking into. Arjun, I don't know what's your opinion, but we need to start looking into those requirements. And I think to Elise's point, I think what she's trying to gauge on is like understanding the overall strategy of task management, where we're heading as a company, the timelines, etc. So this call is really, really helpful for her to gauge her team and direct as well. But I think I would say, Arjun, again, this is not a topic to talk, but I was talking to Kayla and the other day, and I was like, Kayla, what while we are gonna do task management, and we don't know what the APM clean would hold in the future from a top-down perspective, but eventually, whether we do a hub token model or not, it needs to become somewhat an embedded offering within the Team Connect applications. Again, this is future, but something to keep in mind that I think whatever we solve for TMA, etc., I think we need to consider some elements and flavors which we may be going to the airports with this app. Sorry, I didn't mean to redirect the call to another topic, but just want to make sure that we are thinking as an integrated approach rather than just targeting the selected BUs that has the TMA. So when we get to the point, I think when the timing's right, we'll definitely be engaged and continue to discuss, but just wanted to share out there that we want to be able to have one unified platform across the board, and I think fiscal 25 is a year to go to kick that off and kind of start gauging interest with the business and pushing it forward.
I'll also add that this call has also been really helpful to know about DCL to be rolled off Sandpiper first, because that helps us gauge on how to use our Sandpiper resources. Because one of the items that I've been focusing on is getting them to have a standardized style guide in place, because it's been really consistent or inconsistent between the TMA and DCL. There's a lot of inconsistency there when it comes to like font colors and spacing. And font sizes. So trying to utilize a lot of the ladies' style guide that she already put in place to kind of mirror that a little bit. So this has been really helpful to now kind of understand to not kind of have that as a super focus for DCO for our Sandpiper resources. Kayla, I saw your hand up.
One thing I just want to say though is for the DCL transition, we have no current project plan around that, and so we will need to have that.
Right.
But we haven't. Oh, go ahead, Chris.
Sorry. Okay, yeah, sorry, Kayla, I jumped over you. Well, I was going to say, yeah, I mean, it feels like as long as it's not like massive things we're trying to do with DCL, I think it's still worthwhile because like people are going to be living with it for some time. You know, like, are we really going to be off it by next year? Probably not. So, you know, I think like low hanging fruit like that, at least, I think is worth investing in, and you know, it's like that UI type of stuff has an impact. You know, it's not like a big complicated thing to go do. So,
yeah. And I think what's important for us all to keep in mind is that Team Connect is, I think we're all feeling pretty good now that we've seen Maui and how that's looking, but we still haven't even proven it can work effectively in any site right now. And to transition people off the digital cleaning log to that, we need a little bit more comfort. So it may be till end of year when we feel confident on being able to put dates on paper when we could scale up Team Connect effectively to absorb the digital cleaning log people. And the other barrier will be that Team Connect costs money that digital cleaning log doesn't. And so we're going to have to figure out a way to nicely tell people over time, like, look, this is no longer supported. So you, by this date, will need to transition to this solution, and we'll need a way to bring them on board. Yeah, it's just going to be relatively complicated to do the transition. So I don't think we can even say by October of 2025 that we won't have digital cleaning log anymore.
Just as FYI too, this is something I've been obviously looking at. DCL right now, in April, there were over 4,700 people in the system. So there are a lot of folks that are using it. And then just a note on Amazon too, it's not just task management, like we know. There are other forms within Sandpiper that Amazon uses, like the quality inspection and the site evaluation. So it wouldn't be just replacing task management. It would also have to replace those two forms that the sites use quite a bit.
And I almost feel like we should eat the elephant. I love everyone's opinion here, but I almost feel we should eat the elephant in pieces. Like, I feel we should, from a first approach, get a very clear plan for transitioning digital cleaning log. Again, with the caveat, we need to feel comfortable with Team Connect. And then once we have that, then when we feel at least that's stable and can start operating, then getting very clear requirements from Amazon and then start moving that into a plan. I just feel if we try to tackle both at the same time, it may be too much, but I'd love your all's opinion on that, because maybe the answer is we just need to move everything over as quickly as we can, because then it causes less complexity. So would love your all's opinion, but
No,
my gut reaction. Arjun, I was on your end. I was on your end. To me, I'd rather break it up. Like you said, eat the elephant in pieces. And if we could focus on DCL and then Amazon and roll on, makes sense to me. I don't know if there's something else. Yeah, technically, Arjun, that makes it more complicated, but I'd imagine that makes it better, right?
No, as long as we're comfortable with having both Sandpiper and Connect operating at the same time, then that makes sense, right? If the discussion is we want to just get rid of Sandpiper completely, then Kayla, like how you're describing it, we wouldn't be able to do that as effectively with those projects. But if we're okay with having both running at the same time, right, then it's fine. And I don't know if it was just me, but I wasn't expecting us to just transition everything over to Team Connect, right? It was more like this phased sunsetting of the different projects, and then rolling them onto Team Connect after that.
I think it has to be phased because of the ability for Team Connect to absorb that many people at once. Abby, the 4,700 is a helpful stat because that's a lot of people. And so even Ali, I'm thinking of the implementation specialists. Like, there's no way we could support 4,700 at once, and they're going to have to pay for it. And so it takes time to do the client conversations, etc. So I do think it has to be some sort of phased approach. And I also feel we need Katie involved so that we can figure out the right communication strategy to remind people about the sunset dates and actions they can be taking, etc.
Something we haven't talked about. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ali.
No, go ahead. I was just to mention before we even convince client paying for it, I think we need to convince Ad to pay for it and have client pay for it. We need a strategy for that too, Kayla.
Oh, yeah, I meant with digital cleaning log. I mean, Ed's a whole other beast for TMA. Yeah.
You need a different project plan for Ed, I think.
Yeah. I was gonna say that.
No, and kind of with that, right?
Was when they agreed for.
What was that?
Oh, I'm sorry. The Wi-Fi's going in and out here. There was an upgrade to the firewall, I think it is, over the weekend here, and it's been spotty today. So I apologize. But I was just gonna say, yeah, Ed wafers back and forth. So I also think whenever we get him to agree, whenever we want to start TMA transition, I think we need his agreement in writing too, because.
Yeah, and on that, right, we need also to align with James and Kelly just on, because there are conversations they have, right, about what it is Amazon needs to have us doing within our app. That right now it is fulfilling the need, but they have shared with us in the past that future, and they haven't given a timeline, right? But future, it will be expected to do more than it does today to fit the need contractually. And again, we haven't been given specifics beyond, if you recall, just I think it was back in January when we put that proposal together based on Michael and Kelly's, assessment of what it could do. Just something to keep in mind. It might have to do XYZ to keep us in compliance there. So it's a conversation I think James and Kelly and will have to be a part of, so we know if and when we do the cutover, it fulfills that.
So I guess, Elise, I'm curious your reaction to all of this. Like, does this sound like something that David could help us with in terms of, thinking about the sunsetting strategy for some of these things? Or
Yeah, he's definitely also have offered if there was anything strategy related he could be a part of. He's got a really diverse skill set that we could utilize him in any way. He's had a lot of that experience in his previous job experience as well, is one of the reasons why I thought he was a really great candidate. He's also has a lot of CMMS experience as well, so that has been really helpful with him helping out with some of the GMP items as well. So definitely, I'd say he would be a good resource for that.
And maybe start with DCL first.
Yeah.
And get that. Yeah. coordinated.
Definitely.
So what is the output from this meeting? Is it to pass it off to David?
Yeah.
Do we want to meet at all regularly every, I don't know, like month or something for now until things pick up? And then, have David work on that. Maybe that could be the next goal, maybe in several weeks, and then have him present out what he's thinking. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think that he really, I don't think, personally, not, and Elise, I love working with David, but I don't think he's ready to do that, because just based on where he's at with the understanding of, and sorry if that's too bold of me, but,
No,
I just think that he's going to need to partner with either myself or Arjun or even Jeff, somebody who really knows these systems intricately, because he's not there yet. I think he's great to work with. He's super supportive, but I think he can't do this solo.
Oh, no, I was definitely going to agree with that. For him to partner with someone, you and I, because of, because he's still new. He's still learning a lot of what's going on in the system and all the intricacies involved. He's, still green with everything, especially kind of knowing who all the players are and all the differences between all these several TM apps, even myself included. So I would agree he would probably need some sort of help with that. So.
Yeah, and that's what I was more like. He's like leading, making sure it's getting done, but he's obviously gonna have to work with Abby, Arjun, and just make sure it's all documented and put together.
And I want us to also keep in mind something too. I think David has, like you said, green, he's got like the perfect scenario in mind too. And I think, at least, I've only been here a year and a half, but I get what we need it to be and what it can be, right? Like, obviously we want it to be perfect. We want it to work great. We want it to do all the best practices, but in reality, right? Like, there has to be certain suggestions, maybe like tiers, right, of what he suggests, because we all want Sandpiper to do XYZ, but I think we've had to kind of accept that it doesn't, right? Does that make sense? We can get into it when those chats come, but.
So for this call, I know, Chris, you were mentioning something about monthly, and that's something I was going to suggest too. I'm not sure if this time works for everyone, or we could find a different time. If we could try to get something monthly on the books to try to keep all aligned.
Yeah, let's do that, and I would shorten it to 30 minutes.
Yeah, I thought this was going to be a much larger conversation. So, especially when we're talking about all the projects involved, was not sure if we needed 30 minutes or an hour. And usually 30 minutes goes by really quick. And all my previous calls were like, we ran out of time. Let's take this offline. So, so I'll find some time on the calendar and see if this time next month works as well for everybody.
And thank you for getting us together.
Yeah, thanks.
I think this is important. During the course of this call, I had an oh shit moment where I'm like, oh shit, we do need to start the sunsetting, and we have no definitive plan for it. So.
Yeah, it just started making me think, because I know that we have, this white label that we have for Sandpiper, and I'm like, well, how much do we push for that? It just also, just made me aware that this could potentially affect some of the other timelines, or if this is really necessary, and just some other things involved that I figured it'd be good to kind of circle back with everyone else. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and when we start with the plan with David, and if there's a PM, and when we regroup, it's not just the cost for the tech, like you mentioned, those devices, and then there's the discussion of, do we move over the grandfathered Amazon plan, right, with DMI, and how it has its own workaround right now. So it will impact a lot of the device management as well.
It's a good point.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Pulling in a Rosha and Adam at the right time. Yeah. To figure all that out. Yep.
And are we all aligned that no one else gets the grandfathered plan at this point? Like everyone else gets because Walmart also got that plan, right, Abby? Because they're following. Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah,
I
that's
think.
it.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, we'll need a Rosha for sure. And I almost think Chris too, Chris F in procurement for that piece as well.
Do you think we should pull them into the next call, or is that probably too soon?
I think that's too soon until we have a viewpoint.
Okay. Okay, I agree. Okay, I think we have some of our marching orders, and hopefully shortly, it'll most likely be coming from Wendell again. So don't be alarmed. I'll probably have him find to see if the spot next month works for everybody. So
Awesome.
cool, awesome. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks, Elise.
So,
Thanks.
bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Cool. However, Yeah. Come on. All right, let's go. What help can get with that? But this one was, yeah. Welcome to him. Welcome to the team. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I could still, and I still could use another person in general too. So.